It's not for that reason.
Thank you, guys. So much technology everywhere.
Thank you.
This is mostly just power backslide. So that way, basically, if you get a tornado warning or something crazy, y'all actually can see the respiratory conditions.
I live here in Nashville. Oh, thank you very much. Corey's from Birmingham. Okay. Yeah. I am one of the few natives. She's from Nashville. Very rare occurrence. It's become a big city. Yeah. Still small town feel a little bit. So, hey, Dr. Den. Oh, are we doing introductions in the room or anywhere else? We're just gonna.
Mark's gonna start us off. I think he's hunting the power script for you.
Yeah, that's fine. No, we got a couple of minutes. I just didn't know
yeah.
the dynamics of if people that are here.
2 minutes. We're gonna start. He's gonna give a 30-second preface, and then you guys are on.
Okay. So I'm cheating a little bit. I've talked to a couple of them. Where are y'all from, just generally? Like, what's your?
Chattanooga State.
Chattanooga State. Okay.
We're National State.
National State. All right, great.
Walter State.
All right. And English, math, administration, math. STEM. Okay. Anyone from the English group at all? Humanities side?
Well, this will be extremely boring for y'all. I apologize that it's going to not be super exciting for all the STEM folks.
We have multiple administrators here, and then whoever else online. But as Dr. Den may have told you, or we will say at the very beginning, I'll go ahead and get to it. We don't publish in developmental math. We publish in 16 course areas. We do publish in math, but we don't publish in developmental math. So we publish in developmental writing and do it very well. And a lot of our products are in use on your campuses in English and humanities. And we do publish in the sciences and math, we just don't publish in developmental math. So we are not able to assist with that. We are going to, again, sorry if this may be repeated at some point during the presentation, but just so you all are aware.
This is the camera, so if y'all could stay like on this half.
Oh, so you don't want not over there?
Yeah, like I'm not on camera right now. Well, we're not technically on yet anyway. I'm just, but.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you. That's really helpful. It'll get us closer.
50 seconds. 50 seconds to start.
Yeah. It's listen. That's what it's, yeah, it was the textbook.
Closer.
So where do we need to stand? Like kind of right here, because we're going to alternate. But so
You
one
can
of
stand
us.
from the podium to your left.
So it could cover 2 people.
You can stand. They cover all the way to the other side of the TV.
Okay, are we on launch?
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. You guys have heard the story, so go really quickly, but mostly this is for you guys. There'll be no questions on cost. If there are questions on cost by accident, please don't answer them.
Sure.
Please stick to the script as much as you can. It's okay to be short if you think you've covered it thoroughly, but don't go on, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, with that, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Oh,
Sure.
and I should have introduced you. This is McMillan. Pardon me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Yes, we're with Macmillan Learning. My name is Newt Cannon. I've been with Macmillan Learning for 16 years. I live in Nashville, here where we are at the TBR offices. Lived here my whole life. One of the rare natives these days. I've been with Macmillan for 16 years in the role of sales rep locally. Worked with a lot of the community colleges that you all represent in Middle and Eastern Tennessee for a number of years. And I'm now in a larger sales role with our company, covering the state of Tennessee as well as basically the eastern third of the United States. So we are here today to talk to you about what we offer in developmental English and reading. And alongside with me is Corey Cruz, our English product specialist.
Hi guys. Yeah, so I'm Corey Cruz. I'm from Birmingham. I've been with Bedford St. Martin's, which is our English publisher in Macmillan, for a little over 6 years now. Originally as the representative for the whole state of Alabama, and now I'm the product and technology specialist for English. So thanks for being here. We appreciate it. I know it's a long day. We will do our best, since we're only covering half the disciplines, we'll do our best to get you out ahead of the storm. I'm traveling through to Louisville next, so I have a vested interest as well in getting out of here before the bad weather gets here. So just a little bit about Bedford St. Martin's, just quickly. We're a family-owned business. We were started in 1981. We are, I'm sorry. Oh, doesn't it? There we go. Oh, there's just a lag. Come back. I just want to make sure everybody can see what we're doing. Sorry, guys. There it is. So we're one ahead. Sure. So we're a family-owned business. We were started in 1981. We're based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and we are the #1 publisher in English by a lot. We're very proud of that. We are really committed to the English discipline. We've had 16 first editions in the last 2 years, which is a lot more than anybody else, really, than the rest of the industry combined. So this is really our specialty, really our forte. We also deal in the humanities and social sciences, so things like psychology and history as well, but that's beyond the scope today. So just wanted to kind of give you an idea of where we're from. We are the 4th largest publisher in the United States, so we're still kind of big enough to play with the big guys as far as technology goes, but we like to think that we're kind of a little more of a hometown feel. We usually don't bring in armies to campus, just 1 or 2 of us, which I think is positive. Most of our reps are local for all of your schools. We have a rep in Western Tennessee, Central Tennessee, and Eastern Tennessee that covers our disciplines as well. We're 1 ahead, I think that's what happens. Okay. So, okay. Oh no, it's a little wonky. So what I'm changing up here on my screen is not there. It is. It's very odd. So just a couple of little things about us, kind of what we are known for. We won't cover the first one. But really the high quality content, we have double the editors of any other publisher for English. So we spend a lot of time and energy in English. We ground everything we do in really great learning science. We're the only publisher out there that actually publishes our entire process in a white paper, so people can go online and actually look at the entire process from beginning to end. That includes the co-design with students, with instructors and administrators, to what we do in our learning labs and everything like that. So we are very deeply rooted in learning science. I like to say we don't just make our products pretty, we make them work well too. And when I say work well, I mean for the students. Of course, it's a given that if you are using technology, you shouldn't have a bunch of glitches. It should work smoothly and be easy to use. But the biggest question is, how well does your technology actually achieve the goal that you need it to achieve in the classroom? And that's what we really focus on. And then, of course, partnership and service. I just covered that. We really take a personal approach to when we work with clients. We have people on the ground as well as people afar that can help with training and with any issues that arise, which is invaluable. If you've ever worked with technology and you have a technology problem, you do not want to have to just talk to somebody on the phone. You want to be able to see somebody face to face. That's something that we can deliver should any issue arise, especially when it comes to training and things like that. So what we're going to be talking about today is a product called Launchpad for readers and writers. And I just want to show you a quick video. This is essentially what it's going to look like. Then I'll dive in and actually show you what it is. But I think this is a good 2 minutes spent to really kind of grasp what we're covering. So let's see if our sound works.
Launchpad Solo for readers and writers provides targeted instruction on critical reading, the writing process, grammar, mechanics, style, and punctuation based on students' unique needs. Launchpad Solo for readers and writers is made up of a series of pre-built units that each have the following learning art: a 10-question pretest, instructional material in the form of text and multimedia assets, learning curve adaptive quizzing, and a 10-question post-test. Let's look at this learning art for the topic of fragments. The pretest gives students immediate, unique feedback that explains each wrong answer, as well as the right answer. This helps students gauge their knowledge and then plan their study. The instructional material begins with an introduction, which repeats the main ideas in 3 different ways. Overview, which provides a succinct statement of the topic. Video that illustrates it. And narrative explanations of the example sentences. For strong students, this introduction is sufficient. Struggling students, however, may need additional study pages, which include more discussion of specific examples. For most units, students at all levels then practice towards mastery learning curve. Strong students might finish in 12 questions, while struggling students answer 22 questions. All students who finish earn full credit for the activity. After practice, students are often encouraged to reflect on what they've learned by reading about strategies they can use to apply this skill to their own writing. It also provides a good review before students attempt the post-test. This learning art allows instructors to track students' progress from the pre-test to the low-stakes learning curve to the post-test. In addition, there are readings to help students practice their skills. We have also included a few overarching diagnostics for grammar and reading that you can assign for a more global assessment of student skills. Instructors can also personalize Launchpad Solo for readers and writers by adding their own content, modifying the pre-post test, building quiz pools from the quiz bank, and rearranging the table of contents. To learn more about teaching with Launchpad Solo for readers and writers, start with the Welcome Chapter's instructor resources, or go to...
I think you guys get the idea. So I just wanted to start with that because it gives a nice overview of what the system actually looks like. Let's see if we can move on. So here's what it looks like, and I'm gonna dive into this here in a second, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about what it actually contains. The way most of our instructors use Launchpad Solo for readers and writers is they start with the diagnostic testing first. We have 4 diagnostic testing modules. One is on basic grammar skills. Some are one is on like style and mechanics, which is more of a Comp 1 type test. And then we have 2 reading diagnostic tests as well. Most people have the students take 1 or 2 or 3 or all 4 of those, and from that, they assign the learning modules. You can see we have 48 pre-built modules. That's a lot more than what people are going to assign in a typical class. But what they do is, based on their results from the diagnostic testing, they assign the modules. These modules can be assigned to individual students or to groups or to an entire class. So what it allows is for personalization, but I like to call it the web, it's the difference in WebMD and a doctor, right? A lot of people like to talk about personalized study plans. The only problem with that is that it makes it really difficult to track student progress if you have 30 students and all 30 of them are doing totally different assignments. That's really challenging, right? So the difference is WebMD, for example, you can put in all your symptoms, right? And it will tell you what they think is wrong with you, right? But for actual treatment, you really want to go to a doctor. Does that make sense? We view the instructor as the doctor. Essentially, we want the instructor to be able to look at the diagnostics and say, here's what you really need help with. Now, let me give you an example of why that might be important. Let's say that you take the diagnostic and the diagnostic spits out a number like, you really need to work on nouns and pronouns, right? Simple enough. But it also spits out a thing and says, well, you really need to work on thesis statements too. Well, the instructor might look at that and they might say, yeah, nouns and pronouns are important, but we really need you to work on thesis statements so you don't get behind, right? So the instructor can choose where they're going to assess work instead of the system itself doing that. And you'll see that in some presentations. The system wants to assess instead of the instructor. So we really do separate that out. We also have 25 readings with quizzes. These are more for that reading component than the writing component, obviously. The readings are also broken down by lexile level, so you have a good idea of how difficult the reading is going to be before you assign it. And then, of course, we have post-tests. This is the overarching theme, right? You take the pre-test, you assign the work, and then the post-test at the end of the semester lets us know how the students have progressed through the entire semester, which is at an administrative level what people are interested in as well. So we'll show you all of those today. Inside each module, as you saw in the video, there's a smaller learning arc of the pre-test. Think for nouns and pronouns. A pre-test, read and watch, then a learning curve, then a post-test. So I'm going to dive in and show you a couple of these rather than just show you some bullet points. So this is what it looks like. I've already made some assignments sitting here in Launchpad. So if we start with the diagnostics, we can see sentence and grammar diagnostics, punctuation and style, reading skills, things like that. So there's a lot in here to unpack, but if I just walked you through it, I'll show you what a class report looks like. We can see here how the students have done on this diagnostic. So it gives us real data, easy to read graphs. You can break this down by an entire class, or you can just look at Caesar here and see Caesar really needs to work on fragments, right? So it lets us drill down as much as we want, but these reports are the first place we want to start building assignments from. So we can see where are they struggling, where are they doing well, and then we build our assignments from there. So in this report, we can see subject-verb agreement, 43%. We probably want to work on that. That's a pretty important one. And we can see that I came down here and I assigned subject-verb agreement. And here's that learning arc. The pre-test, right, to assess truly how are they doing in the subject-verb agreement area. Then the introduction, which is videos, some study pages, things like that. And then they have the ability to take learning curve, which I'm about to show you, and then a post-test. So it's an entire learning arc to make sure that the students are going from struggling to mastery is the idea in a very succinct, easy to assign format. So if the instructor wanted to assign this, just to kind of give you an idea of functionality, let's say that they wanted to assign revising. This is a very popular one. All they do is they click assign. They choose the date that they want it due. You click OK. And it's assigned. Now, the way I just did it, I assigned it for the entire class, but we can also assign for an individual student, or we can create groups. And anything I assign comes right up here to the top. Any questions so far? We designed it to be super intuitive. Yes, ma'am?
So is this actually used as a homework tool then?
It's used,
It's not like an e-text. This is a...
That's correct. So let me back up. We actually designed this entire thing to be textbook agnostic. The idea is that you can use it with one of our books, or you can use it with anyone else's. So, for example, in English right now, Volunteer State comes to mind. Volunteer State, they have like 6 or 7 different books that they're using in Comp 1 and Comp 2, right? That's a challenge. That's a lot of different books. Now, they are trying to standardize down, but if you go into the bookstore right now, there's a lot of different books out there. So if we want one solution for everyone in Comp 1, then what we want to do is we want to have a standard, like textbook agnostic solution. That's what we provide. So the students can get all the material they need without a textbook. Yep, solution there.
Just to follow up, are you looking for an e-text solution?
What I'd really like you to do is get a publisher to do a college level book and then have a supplement for those students in co-rec. Can you get that done by phone?
So we have college level books that.
No, but so the issue with something like this in
Yes.
co-rec is it's really not co-rect. It's standing alone to do the developmental piece while you're doing it's easier when they're tighter.
I understand. So to that note, we certainly have solutions very similar to this, but that are for specific books that accomplish that. But we didn't really understand if that was what everyone was looking for.
Yeah, there
Exactly.
are schools in the state currently using this product or a variation of this product with our textbooks.
Yes.
We have a syllabus as an example of one that's using it at Cleveland State. So that is possible. We were presenting the general solution, which would serve what we thought would be a wider
That's right.
population opportunity, but we have e-text built into this.
One more question.
Sure.
Can faculty add their own assignments to this?
Everything can be added into this if you'd like, whether it be videos or just
Okay, so they
lecture
can
notes,
modify it.
anything that you want. It's totally customizable. Everything's drag and drop. You can also hide unassigned things from the students, so the students would only see this. Or if you prefer a more self-paced kind of model, we can make all of this available to the students. That is totally up to the instructor or the institution, and we're going to get into this as well, but we can cover it now. We have the ability in this system that we can create a master course for the entire state if we wanted to, or we can create master courses for each individual school according to what they need. It's entirely up to the school and the professors how they want to do it. Or we can create it where each professor can assign anything they want inside this system. If you're looking for good data, what I recommend is you assign as a whole the diagnostics and the post-test, right? Because that lets us see how are your students going in and how are they coming out. And then you let the individual instructors assign everything else based on what their students need. Does that make sense? That would be what I would recommend. If you're looking for overarching data for the entire system, that's what I would recommend. But if you're not looking for that, if that's not a factor, then we can work with each individual campus or each individual instructor. That's what we do now. Each campus, they set this up and we say, well, how do you want to do this? Do you want to build this one course for everybody on campus, or do you want everyone on campus to be trained to do it all themselves? And that's just an option that we have for each campus. And that's the model we're doing right now at places like Volunteer State. Great question. Any other questions? A couple things I wanted to show you just quickly. Probably our premier thing, the thing that students like most is this asset called Learning Curve. Learning Curve is essentially a game-like environment where the students' job is to fill up the score bar. So they answer a series of true, false, multiple choice questions until they fill up the score bar. So it's very low stakes because it's all or nothing. If you fill up the score bar, you get a 100%. If you don't, then you don't get any credit at all. So they like that because this is designed to help them study. It's not something that they have to study before they take. So you can see in this learning curve, we're covering just pronouns. We can see the different ways we're covering pronouns, the different sections. And we begin the activity and we just start answering questions. If I go really quickly, the system immediately recognizes you did not read that question. There's no physical way. And it tells me to slow down. If I refuse to slow down, it cuts my points in half to make me slow down. So it'll take me even longer. If I try to guess through, it gets to be nearly impossible to guess through. It's really important that we don't let the students cheat. They do get multiple chances, but it reduces their points each time. So it was originally worth 15 points. I got it on the second try, and so now it's only worth 5. But here's the real beauty of learning curve. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to read those study pages before they take this. Right? We're trying to get them familiar with the material, then they take this as further study. So what we do is we actually link to those study pages down here at the bottom, and it pulls up, it doesn't give them the answer, but it pulls up a section where they can find the answer. So what we're basically doing is we're tricking them into reading the book. That's the idea, right? We're trying to get them to read the sections that we want them to read. There is no penalty for doing this. So they can read this, answer the question, and if they get the question correct, they get 100% credit. Does that make sense? Students, if the system adapts to the student. So if the system recognizes that the student has mastered this already, it makes the questions more difficult. Answer this in like 12 questions, right? It's going to be very quick for them. If you were to sit down and do this, chances are, even if you're not an English person, you're going to nail this in 12 to 15 questions. A student that is really struggling, it's going to recognize that, and it's going to feed them more questions in the area that they're struggling. So it's going to take a little bit longer, but they're getting more help that they need. So it's truly adaptive in nature, but it's not punitive for the student. So they don't feel like, oh, I'm missing questions, so now, you know, I'm not going to get my credit. As long as you finish it, you get full credit. We have one of these for all of our units inside Launchpad. Questions about learning curve. At the very end, it gives them a study plan. You can answer one question, but it will tell them what they're good at, what they're struggling with. See, the problem is students don't know what they don't know. So what we aim to do is we say, listen, you really need to go back and look at this. And if we drill down into pronoun agreement, it gives me some places I can go study, watch a video, things like that to further my understanding. So all of this is getting them confident. So when it's time to take that post-test that actually does count writing wrong questions, that they feel confident that they can do the job. One or two other things I'll show you in here. As an instructor, I only have one student in here, fill this out right now, but as an instructor, you can also see this for the entire class. So you can walk into your class, before class, if you assign this to be due before you cover this material in class, you'll walk into class knowing where your students are strong and where your students are weak before you even get into class. So you can custom tailor your teaching that day based on this data.
So can you go back and look and see if they just guess?
Yeah, so one thing you can see is it'll tell you how many questions they've completed, and it'll tell you, you know, if they've completed it, right? If they completed it, how many questions did it take? You will find that students do not guess very long because it takes forever, right? So it'll turn a 10 or 15 minute deal into an hour and a half. So they'll quickly figure out, oh, I can't game the system, and I'll just you know, follow along. They don't mind it because it's like a game. You know, you just fill up the score points. This is by far the most popular asset that we have.
And just to reiterate, we actually invite them to open up the ebook and look at it to get the answers. So
right.
We're inviting them to cheat to get the answer. So to the point, I mean, the guessing, yeah, maybe they're going to click through it, but we're inviting them to actually go find the answer and get it right the first time. The goal is to actually get them to read the material,
right,
which otherwise they may not try to do. They may just try to get through the assignment as quickly as they can and be done with it. So
right, no, it's just my experience. A lot of times students will procrastinate slightly, and then
they
I
will.
still want my points before it's due, and so you know, I'm going to go that route. I was just curious if you could differentiate between that behavior.
You will definitely be able to see how many questions they have. So if they've answered 150 questions and they should have only taken 15, you'll get a pretty good idea. If they come to you and they're like, I don't know why I'm not getting credit. Well, it's like, well, clearly you are either not reading or you're just guessing, right? One of the two. That's a great question. Any other questions? This is the basic module. So we do this, you can see here, for like very basic developmental reading and writing, but we also have things like drafting and editing, things that get a little bit more in depth. In your folder, you actually see, one of our professors at Cleveland State was kind enough to provide kind of her syllabus, if you will, of how she assigns this product each week. And so it'll say Launchpad, and when she says Launchpad, it's this product. Launchpad, and here's what she assigns. So you can see that a lot of the things she's assigning is not what we would consider, you know, paragraph to sentence developmental writing. It's more of the Comp 1 kind of stuff. And towards the end, like you'll even see, they're getting into revision and thesis statements and things that are covered in Comp 1. Questions? Pretty simple. Oh, not share. Oh, yes.
Accessibility.
Newt, do you want to take that in general?
Yeah, accessibility. We've worked with Philip Voorhees, and we've submitted. This is used in multiple schools on campus, so we assume that it's completely meets all the benchmarks that Tennessee TBR set up. Does that answer what you're asking about?
For now?
I don't know that they set up benchmarks as much as asked for a
Well,
statement as to
standards.
where you are.
Right.
Certain standards
So we
have
had to
to be
fill out
met.
the web form, I think, that you all had, and for every one of our products that that are in use, and we did that, and we never heard anything back other than that these products are still being used by many campuses. So we take that to mean we're in good condition. If there's more information that you need, we have a VPAD on our website. What else? What other kind of information would you need in terms of the scope of this product and your decisions?
Just standards that you meet.
Is there a reader built in? Is there a reader built in?
A reader built in,
So can a student highlight something and have it
picked
read?
up by like JAWS or something like that? Is that what you're referring to?
Or even just built in, sometimes you can just click on it.
We do not have a reader built in, but from my understanding, everything is built in this system to work with an e-reader or a voice reader. Yes, and you'll also notice all of our videos are closed captioned, have transcripts, everything that's important for videos as well. So we have a team that works on accessibility constantly. So that's something that we put a lot of emphasis on. But if you need more information, we can certainly get that for you.
Yeah, we filled out, like I said, we filled out all the forms. I guess this was last year probably when they were rolling these out. I've met with Philip Voorhees directly, myself in person multiple times. We've worked with him directly on all of our product stuff. So everything we've been told, which is we're clear.
We're good to go.
But we checked again.
Great question. Any other ones on that note? Awesome. Couple roles and features of the Launchpad itself, because I know this was something that it was in the packet that we were sent of we want to cover this. The administration role, I already talked a little bit about this, that we could do a master course with mandatory assignments if that's a route y'all want to go down. I can say most of the time when I speak to English people, it makes them shiver a little bit when we talk about mandatory anything. That's just kind of the nature of most of the people I've dealt with over the years in English. So I don't know if that's something that y'all are considering, but I just want to mention it can be done. We do it all the time, but that may or may not be something that you want to do. The instructor roles, they have the ability to assign individual assignments for their class, easily copy those sections. So if they're teaching 3, 4, 5, 6 sections, like a lot of adjuncts do, they can just build the class once, copy, 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 copy. It makes photocopies. They can also copy semester to semester. It's a piece of cake. To kind of give you an idea how easy it is, I was driving up from Birmingham today. I had a history professor who uses Launchpad for a different product, but it's the same functionality. And she called me and she goes, I have a term that is like starting yesterday, and I've got to get this done, right? I've got to get this like rolled over from last term. They do quarters. She was at Troy. And I was able to walk her through it over the phone, right? Now, I love this woman. She's wonderful. She is, like, seriously 83 years old and could take the directions over the phone and apply it. It's that simple. It's not a difficult thing at all. So the instructors have that ability. And the students can access, just like we covered, only what has been assigned, or we can set it up where it's self-paced and they can access everything in the entire system. If you want to add your own material, the instructors can do that. We can also do that at an administrative level where it goes out to all instructors. So if you had custom content or certain student learning outcomes, we can push that out into Launchpad for all instructors across the entire state if we needed to. No problem. How do students register? I will show you this here in a second. Oh. There it goes. how do students register? It's really simple. We put a link in their D2L course. I'm assuming everybody uses D2L Brightspace? Okay. So we put a link in their D2L course. They click on the link, they register a name and email, they put in their access code. After that, all they have to do is every time they sign into D2L, it's automatically going to sign them into the system. It's really, really simple.
So is there an external sign-on just in case?
There sure
D2L
is, yes.
down sometimes?
Absolutely. I encourage people to put that in the syllabus just in case they need it. But yes, there is an external sign-on, and I can show you that too.
But they'll still need their login for, I mean.
It'll be the same login. So when they set up their access, I'll show it to you here in a second. They just put in, I tell them, put in the same email address and password that they use for D2L. That's going to be the easiest way so they don't have to remember. But again, once they do that once, every time they log into D2L, it will automatically log them into the course so they don't have to worry about it ever again. But if D2L was down, then they can certainly just go straight there.
We've done that with other things, and that's the problem. 6 weeks in, I've not ever logged in. I don't know what I set up anymore.
Yeah.
So even if I know the external access, I don't know how to get in.
All they have to do is click Forgot Password and put in their email address. It's as simple as Facebook. That's the goal, right? So I tell students all the time, if you can log into Facebook, you can log into Launchpad. It is basically the same experience.
Temporary access code built in.
It's a really good question. Sorry for the noise. Yes, we have 21 days of free access. That can be extended by request. We have that happen sometimes. Where was I? ETSU, just the other day. They were saying that they were having some military students having terrible issues getting the money for their books. And so we just extended their access for another 2 weeks. That was no problem at all. So we can do that by request as well. Yeah, good question. Oh, here we are, reports. So a little bit about, before I go into reports, let me show you the actual login process. So this is Launchpad inside of D2L. Yours might look a little different. This is just the way I built mine out. So what I like to do is at the very top, I just put in the Launchpad access, and then I can just click right here, Launchpad registration. That's the way I like to build it out. It's super clear as to what they have to do. So when they open it, this is the actual, this is instructions that I put in of how to do it step by step. We provide that for all the instructors. So the student can read through that, and this is the actual link. It's going to sign me in automatically because I'm already signed into D2L. Well, it's going to think about it at least.
How long does the access code last?
6 months, although that can be adjusted.
We have 6 months, 12 months, different access terms.
Oh, it's because I'm signed in under 2 different accounts. That's what it was. I have my personal account over here and my D2L account over here. So it signed me in, but I'll just sign out. This is the way it looks for the students right here. So they put in their access code first. They could get their access code from the bookstore. They can also purchase directly from us right here. And if they want temporary access, they just click I need to pay later. I'll show you what that looks like because I can just use my personal email. It recognizes that I'm already a Launchpad user. A lot of your students already would be because we have Launchpad in 20 different disciplines. So a lot of people would already be a Launchpad user. I have no idea what my email is. Oh, already signed in. There we go. Continue to site. I confirm, yep, that's my course. And now I'm in as a student. So it takes about 15 seconds, and I'm in as a student, ready to go.
So question, we have also situations that we run into when we have multiple classes using access codes, particularly temporary access codes.
Yes.
Where the system will not put them in multiple classes at the same time. Is that all? Well, I mean, we've got to force it through IT. Have you had that issue?
Okay, explain it one more time, I'm sorry.
A student sends up with a third-party homework vendor
Yes.
for math, and then they do it also for psychology, but whoever they plugged in that temporary code first wins, and they can't log
So that what I just did doesn't include the that's not a temporary code. That just, you don't have to have a code to get your temporary access for 21 days. Like, all you need is your email address. So you could, I could send you a link right now to this site, and you could log in as a student using your email right now. It would be that easy, yeah, for 21 days. After 21 days, it will lock you out of the system if we don't extend it until you put in your access code. So at that point, you either need to go to the bookstore or you need to just buy it right here.
And this may be covered later, I'm not sure, but just because I think the term, that I don't know where this will end up, but I know inclusive access has come up in some preliminary conversations. If there were to be a situation where these products were going to be purchased via inclusive access, then that changes some of this, and the fact that we do have a couple of different options, including auto enrollment that doesn't have any codes at all.
Yes.
So again, don't know the scope of where this is headed or what, but there are other options as well, especially if you're thinking along the lines of code this, code that, issues with codes, history there, I understand. We have different options, again, based on what the outcome of this event were to happen, and how students ultimately will purchase the product.
Does everybody understand when we say, it's driving me crazy. Does everybody understand when we say inclusive access what that is? It's okay if you don't. In a nutshell, all it is that it's a course fee model where the students pay for the product via course fee and their tuition. And so everyone gets their product the first day, no matter what. It's a piece of cake. You also get a discounted deal. Anyway, so that's the registration. Any other questions on registration?
So I guess if a student changes section, that's not really an issue.
The student can change sections by themselves. It's really easy. We actually have all these great help articles I can show you of like, that way they don't even have to call tech support to change sections. If they do call tech support, it'll take tech support about 15 seconds. All they need is the instructor's name. So as long as they can remember your name, they can change sections to your section.
Okay, so that's not happening.
That's gonna be the problem.
So right now, the situation that we have is similar, is the faculty can add students. So you're telling me the students swap sections?
If the student has the ability to swap sections if they need to. It is so rarely used, but they can do it because we don't make it obvious that they can do that. They have to actually see the article and how to do it. It's really simple, but they're never going to look for that. The reason we allow them to do that is because let's say they go, let's say you have 2 or 3 sections and they're all using Launchpad, but they accidentally get into your Tuesday, Thursday section instead of your Monday, Wednesday section. They can just move over into the Monday, Wednesday section if they choose to. Most people just call us.
We have a fair amount of students that change sections that first week or two just to accommodate schedule changes or things that happen.
This would help. If that's the case, we would make sure that they would have the instructions, like I would put it.
Even though this is integrated through D2L, it doesn't follow their registration through D2L?
That's a good question.
They change instructors and all of that.
It's
that's the
not
kind
one or two sections, it's 50.
So the way we integrate with D2L, if they change sections, they're going to show up in that new D2L course as well.
Right.
Does that make sense? So it's going to follow them over.
Right, so when they go to click on to that, how does that, right, does the, because I'm just trying to figure out where they'll just click on it. Are they going to get a new opportunity to sign up for the 21 days? Is that clock still running?
It is the same access, it's just a different Launchpad section. So it's effectively the same. So if they're in day 12 of their 21 days, then they're still in day 12 when they move over to the next one. Because we're doing it all based on their email.
What I'm trying to figure out is how the new faculty members can get access. So if a student, because right now, if a faculty member says, okay, you're coming into my lab or my class, let me move your stuff over, that's one thing. But if we're dependent on the students to change sections, can a faculty member enroll a student in their class?
I think so. Let me double check on that and I can get back to you on that. That's a good question. Usually I tell people just call me. That's my job is if you have people.
If assignments are completed or things like that, that transitions with them or that's automated?
Almost definitely not, because you're not going to have the same assignments necessarily. I can find out for you. That's I don't usually see it very often, but I can find out for you.
We don't see it very often, but we see it. And there's other times you have to change the student sections other than the first couple weeks. And at that time, we usually need the assignments to kind of come with them.
That's a good question.
And so right now, with some products, we can migrate those.
Yeah.
Some we can't.
Huh. I've never run into that, but we'll find out for you. That's a great question.
I mean, we're in math, so maybe that doesn't happen to the English people. You
No,
know,
I can't say either way, but that's a real. I've done so many of these presentations over the past 6 years, and I've never gotten that question. So that's a really good question.
I'd say we do 100 semester.
Of course it is.
It's not a small number. It depends on the size of your school, but it's not a small number. It's not an inconsequential number.
But I think you're right in that. I'm more worried about.
Had it plugged in the whole time, and I didn't have it turned on. All right. Back to our presentation here. Reports. So I break reports down into the two different types. Big picture reporting, right? And where we're really going to shine through there is with the pre and post diagnostics. And what we will do is we will produce custom reports for the school, like the department, and for TBR for all the departments or everything together if they want to see it like that. So we produce these as a custom report. And then we have more granular reports as well through Learning Curve in the Gradebook. So I'll just go through a couple slides to show you. Maybe. There we go. So these are just a couple of examples of custom reports. We did this at Georgia State. They merged with Georgia Perimeter, which was a giant deal. So when they merged, they were both using our product, but they didn't know how each other were doing. So this was for college success, their first year experience course. So we created this, and you can see the metrics, right? Critical thinking, motivation. Those would be obviously different for English, but it would be a very similar thing. So they take a pre-test and a post-test, just like we're describing, and we showed for their entire school, both Georgia State and Georgia Perimeter, how they were doing, right? How they progressed in each section. So these are the kind of custom reports we do. Here's another one. I get excited and start talking about it, and then I turn around and it's not up here yet. As soon as I go back, it's going to change. Told you. Okay, so here's just another example of custom reports that we did for them. Same metrics, but in these we actually broke down their proficiencies. This model is a norm referenced model, so it's a little bit different, but I just wanted to show you some of the custom reports we do for some of these schools. Moving on. There we go. Here's one of the reports that I showed you earlier. Kind of the big picture that we could do for the entire school. So imagine you could see an entire department's average total score on this entire thing. Or we could look at the entire state if TBR wanted to do that. So we would compile that at that higher level on request. So if they wanted it every semester or every year, we could compile it at that point. The instructors have access to this all the time inside Launchpad. But if you wanted to see multiple sections, then we would do that on request. To get a little more granular, we can look at subject level. There we go. We already showed you learning curves, so you can look at, here's nouns and pronouns again, right? Subject level, you get some data on how your students are doing. We can go even deeper in and look granular at quiz level. And this gets really into the weeds. Mean, median, mode, standard deviations, the quartiles, right? All sorts of really interesting, nerdy stuff if you're so inclined. We even go a little bit deeper into the question level, where we will show you the difficulty and the discrimination factor for each question that the students take. So if they really want to get in and you want to make sure that the students are, like, every question they're getting is going to be difficult or easy, or there's a good mix in between,
And you want to make sure that there's a good correlation between how the students are doing on their quiz versus doing on an individual question. You can see all of that as well. All of this is real time in Launchpad. So any populated gradebook of ours is going to show all of this for all the quizzes. So it can get really deep if you want it to. The reality is what most people look at is the big picture, but I wanted to show you that we do have that granular level reporting if people are interested. Questions on reports so far? All right. Can we integrate? Yes, we can. We offer deep integration with all major systems, including D2L and Brightspace. So in the unlikely event and in the very near future you guys change to Canvas or Blackboard or any of the others, we also offer deep integration with them. If you're not familiar with integration, there are two types. The first type just covers these top two, right? Single sign-on and gradebook sync. What that is when the students sign into D2L, it signs them into that system. And the gradebook from Launchpad syncs over into D2L. A lot of publishers do that. What not every publisher does is this asset level linking, and I'm about to show that to you. But essentially what that means is we can take that pretest or we can take that learning curve and put it straight into D2L. When you're meeting with people, make sure you ask them about that because not everybody does that, and that's an important thing. So I'll show you what it looks like.
Is that like a cartridge or is it like it just seamlessly syncs?
I'm sorry, ask that one more time.
We used to do, I remember doing this a while back with the publisher, and they were like, we have like a cartridge or something like that, and it's kind of like this plug-in that fits in there. Or it's,
so that's, yeah, we used to call those course packs. This is that on steroids, really. It's
it was clunky.
Yeah. So let's see. So for example, I clicked on this, and it's going to take me directly to the reading. I think this is the post test I just clicked on. It takes me directly to it, right? So I don't have to learn as a student to navigate Launchpad at all. All they do is click on links, and it takes them directly to what they need to know.
So
this,
if you have
yep.
other assignments in your D2L course, your syllabus is in D2L organized by assignment. Launchpad may be one portion of your grades that you assign in D2L. It can sit alongside every other topic of coverage that you have from other sources of content, whether it's from your school, from another content source, what have you. It's built into the D2L course that your students are accessing every day. They don't have to leave D2L and open up another window and go to something else and then come back to it. They can read what you gave them from some periodical from the library, then they can do the reading pre-quiz right here in Launchpad without ever having to leave D2L.
What we really want the students to be able to do is we want them to just have to know how to work D2L and not have to know two systems, because that gets really confusing when they go to math and they have WebAssign or MyLab or something like that. Then they come to chemistry and they have Sapling, and then they come to English and they have Learning Curve. That's a lot. But if we can just put it all in here, they don't know any different. What matters are those assets and are they effective, and the reporting. But for the students, it just needs to be easy to use. That's key.
How long does that data stay there? So for instance,
Yeah.
I handle a lot of grade appeals. And if I go into a D2L shell, I can still see grades basically forever as long as I can still have access to that D2L shell. Will that stay in there, that student data, or does it shut down with the access code?
So the access code shuts down for the students, not for you, because the instructors are going to keep that data for a lot longer. For example, the product I've been showing you is from 2016 when I had some people load things into this. So we're 2 years in, and it's still all that data is still there. Yes, ma'am. Good question. And when you copy the course in, I'll show you a copied course in Launchpad. To copy a course in Launchpad, and to relink it to D2L, all you have to do is copy the course in Launchpad and copy the course in D2L, and then just click link, and it's done. You don't have to do any of that. It's already integrated. So next semester, right? So I just, let's see. To create a course, I just click Create Course. Do I wish to copy an existing course? Yes, I do. And I will click on this guy. Click Next. I would rename it, change the term. Maybe I just want to do it for summer. Click create. And now I've got a photocopy of the course I just had, right? So it's just that fast. So to do it in D2L, you just create a new course in D2L and relink them together. It is, so in 2 minutes, we can create your entire course in D2L and in this totally linked for the next semester.
With master courses, would you have to create that master course new each semester?
No. With the master course, in D2L, that's a question.
Like an existing master course that
Yes.
can change? So when you do this, does this have to be done every semester, or can?
Yeah, so what we do there is we work with the D2L administrator, and I say, hey, you need to take this master course and roll it out to everybody who's teaching this section. That's something I do all the time for schools. I need you to roll this out to everybody teaching the section, and then we copy the courses for them, and it syncs right up. So we do most of that work on the back end before the instructor has to get to it. Although we can teach the instructor how to do it, but we do most of that with the administrator currently.
I don't think I understood that. So you have your master shell
Mm-hmm.
in D2L.
Yes,
And then we copy it to the sections
that's correct.
before you push the new content in?
That's correct, yes. So you have your master course in D2L. We copy it for every section, and then we will have copies of our master course in Launchpad that will link up to each of those sections. Yes, ma'am.
So I want to verify what you're saying. Yeah. All right. Okay. So the way that we work, because I'm one of the D2L administrators.
Yes.
I have a master course, a single master course, and I copy that content, or the instructor does, from the master course to their sections, to all the
Yes.
sections. So it's all identical.
Yes.
You're using the word section when you're talking about the copy. Are you referring to we have to have different masters for the various sections, or we have a single master?
Single master.
It's differentiating.
Single master, and you're pushing a copy to her and to her and to her, correct?
So our process is the same. So
Yes.
everybody here has a different, is teaching a section.
Yes, ma'am.
The same master copy.
That's
for
correct.
them all.
That's correct. We have a parallel master course on our end. And so we create a section for each instructor as well. And then we just link all those sections together. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we're working in parallel, and then we just link the sections together.
And you need grading? Grades appear in D2L?
That's
Yes,
correct.
grade sync.
It's grade sync. So this is where my role comes into play. So that is more than what we would like an instructor to have to deal with, right? So this is where my role comes into play. We also have people in-house that help with that. So we work with the administrators to do that. And we're currently doing that at many schools across the U.S. So it's not a new thing for us. But if you guys were doing this system-wide, we'd have to work with each administration, or each one of you at each school. But that's what we do all the time. So, yep, good question. Does that answer it? I know anytime we get into integration, it's clear as mud sometimes because different lingos at every different school.
What you might find is that we have 13 different ways that each institution does it.
Yeah.
What makes me nervous about you having control of it is if Chat State's way is different than our way, which ball is going to drop?
We would not have control. That would be you guys.
No, I know, but when you're saying you might find that we have 13 different ways of managing D2L.
Yes, ma'am. And that's what we're doing currently in the current model across the entire United States. So we find that, like, for example, I was in Alabama. Not only did everybody have a different way of doing it, Alabama and Auburn and UAB all use different systems as well. So we have to work with those administrators in Blackboard and ones in Canvas. And so that is something that we do constantly. And to be fair, I don't want to pigeonhole all the other publishers. All the big guys do the same thing, to be fair. So it's something that we all deal with on a very consistent basis. It's just something that most people don't ever see. Any other questions on that?
And we also have on staff, not here today, but an LMS integration specialist who is available for consultations.
Absolutely.
If anything that we're covering you'd like more information on, or that Corey can follow up with, we'll be glad to do that afterwards. If you at your school are interested in, and like I said, maybe another school needs to hear something else, we could have our integration specialist who works across the country just with LMS integrations specifically, nothing else.
Yes.
You know, may have a different angle that may be able to help you all understand it in a different way.
And he speaks the lingo better than I do, to be fair. So he's a lot more clear than I am. His name's Todd Hammond. He used to do what I do, but now he's more important. So that's what he does. But yeah, that's something that we would work with each individual school on. Already showed you all this. A little bit about service. Moving on, a little bit about service. We have 24/7 customer service. Now, the vast majority of that, people can be reached on the phone up until about 3 a.m. Then basically from 3 to 7 a.m., you can't get anybody on the phone, but you can get someone on live chat between 3 and 7 a.m. So 24/7, you can get somebody for customer service, both as an instructor and also as a student. The customer service people are in Duluth, Minnesota, so they have really great, nice Midwestern accents, which is great. They always sound really happy, like when I talk to them, which is something that isn't always the case when you have to call customer service. They're also very quick, I should mention. It's usually just a couple rings, and then they answer, and they usually handle things extremely quickly. So to give a hats off to them, we spend a lot of money to make sure that they do a good job and are trained well. But they answer questions very quickly for most students.
And anecdotally, a lot of companies in this space have either lessened greatly the amount of phone support they offer, or removed it entirely from the service package they offer to adopters, or in other ways maybe offer it to certain tiers or levels of adopters. We offer phone service for every customer, whether you teach 10 students or 10,000, along with the other methods that other companies are currently using, live chat, email. But we do pride ourselves. We are a smaller company, and we believe that we're able to offer things in some regards where maybe in some ways we're not as as capable as some of the big companies, but in other ways we believe we're better. Yeah. And this is one of those cases where we're not short shrifting the service aspects of what we're producing, and we spend a lot of resources on making sure that students and instructors have access to getting the help they need when they need it. So we have almost 24-hour phone support, and then the rest available digitally or email, live chat. But just want to reemphasize the value of the phone support because we know that not everyone includes that to all customers.
We also teach, we provide first day of class documents for all the instructors to show the students. And we make very clear that the instructor is not supposed to be tech support, right? And we ask that all the instructors don't try to answer questions, just send them the phone number, tell them to call. Because that's going to lessen the load on each instructor, which is, y'all shouldn't have to be dealing with that. Most of tech support, it's silly questions like, what email address did I use to sign in, or what is my password? And there are things that usually can be fixed very quickly. The other common questions are, I think I might have logged into the wrong class. Can you help me with that? Those are the most typical things that students have trouble with. We also have free and unlimited training sessions. In person, of course, we do that, and online as well. So we host WebExes constantly, so people can go and sign in or sign up for a WebEx for training. So if they're like, hey, I want to learn more about Launchpad for readers and writers, they can just go sign up and have one of our people do that electronically with them. And we also do training sessions in person, both in the summer and in the winter, to get people ready and onboarded. So when you have new people come in, we gotta train them. We do that in person on campus. We usually cater lunch, and then we'll sit down in a computer lab and take care of it in a computer lab. That way they can follow along. Again, local reps in every part of the state. You have local technology specialists like me. And this is really key. You have a dedicated product specialist as well. Her name's Serena. She is specifically for English. Her job is to help people set up their courses. And she is much more of a content specialist than somebody like me. I went to school for business, not for English. So if we really start talking about English, I'm going to be way over my head very quickly. Serena is not that. Serena can talk to you a lot more specifically about those about those questions. And she literally will help you like sit down and set up each little section of the course piece by piece, which is great. And then, of course, we have articles for self-help for the students and the instructors. Those are screenshots. So it's like, how do you register for the class? It's screen by screen by screen, click by click by click. For instructors, how do you copy the course screen by screen, right? How do we link it with D2L? We show the instructors how to do that themselves, screen by screen. So we have a great library of articles to help with that as well. Lastly, let's say that you guys say, man, we love this. Let's do it. We have again, a dedicated point person. We would bring her in. She would be the first person that we kind of have everybody consult with. Once you guys decided, here's the structure that we want. We want this overarching, and we want these things to be up to the schools, or however you guys decide you want to do it. We would work with each individual school to set that up. And Serena would be a point person, as would I, where we would literally go to each school, talk to them, and set that up. That would be the first step for us. Then, of course, we have the local reps who would be responsible for scheduling those in-person trainings. I also attend those in-person trainings, and we get people ready in that way. And then, again, offers digital sessions. We know a lot of adjuncts teach these gen ed courses, and a lot of those people are not paid to be on campus in the summer to get training. So we offer online training for them. We'll also record a training session for them so they could just watch it whenever they get a chance. That's a big thing for us. And then the last piece, we offer to do first day of class presentations. That's where the local rep or myself, it's really a big team effort. We will go in if people request it. We do these all the time where we go in and we talk to the students for 5 minutes, how to set up your Launchpad course, how to get logged in, and then we stick around for after class, make sure nobody has any trouble. So we actually will do that. We also provide those documents for people, but if they don't feel very comfortable, we will do that for them in their classes. And like we'll literally be doing that all day long on a campus. That's a big undertaking for us, but it's a sign of partnership that we try to work through. Any questions on the implementation? We are really all in when people sign up to work with us.
This isn't exactly implementation, but it has to do with what's your uptime with your servers?
Ooh, that's a great question. We can get you the data on that. We're totally in the cloud, so I will find out for you. Good question.
Did you just say you're totally in the cloud?
Yeah, so I believe all our data is in the cloud at this point. We've moved everything.
Including student data?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'll defer to him. He'll find out for us. That's above where my pay grade goes.
I'll have to find out. I'm not
I think
qualified.
we've been told from the state of Tennessee that we can't put student data in the cloud. Right?
Oh, that's not all that. I'll have to ask somebody.
I'm not sure.
It would depend on the server, whether the server meets certain standards and if it's encrypted in there.
Yeah. So we'll find out for you. That's a really good question.
That's a vice chancellor.
And I was thinking it had to do whether or not you had contract.
It was something about how easy it is for people, how secure, how protected it is.
Yeah.
With certain level.
A lot of times, and some of these guys probably would know better than I, but a lot of times moving your product to the cloud can be more secure, depending on how outdated your servers are and all your firewalls and everything like that. So a lot of times moving to these really big cloud-based companies can be more secure. But we'll find out for you. If a student struggles, we're about to be totally done. And then we'll open it up if you have any more questions. If a student struggles, this is a big thing for us. We will extend their access for an additional semester if they don't pass the class.
Is that the immediate semester after?
Yes, but as far as I'm concerned, if they took a semester off. Basically, the spirit of this for us is if they purchased our product, we're not going to penalize them for having to take the class again. So for the next time they take the class, we will extend access to them. That's a big thing for us, and we stand behind our products. We like to think that that won't be the case, that if they use our products, they're going to do well in the class. But if it happens, we will extend the access. All done.
How do you know if they failed?
People let us know. Like
You just take the student's word for it?
well, we can see immediately. Yeah, and the instructor. But we can see immediately if the student has already had access.
How can you legally have an instructor tell you that someone failed?
That's a good question. I get email requests a good bit saying, hey, can we extend access for this person for the next semester? Things like that. But I don't know I don't know if they're supposed to do that.
Yeah,
I have no
I'm
idea.
just wondering how you could do that.
By just giving someone extended access to our product,
No, I mean.
I think it's just the acknowledgement of grade issue. I mean, we're not supposed to tell you someone's grade. We're not supposed to communicate to you someone's grade.
Yeah.
So we don't know how you would verify the fact that, so we're gonna assume that we have not informed you of their grade. So I don't know how y'all would verify.
Well, if they're gonna ask for it, I mean, most students gonna be like, I made an A in this class, I really want access.
No, nobody's going to do that afterwards.
I really wanna have this product
But
again.
that's what you might have. You take the student's word for it. That's kind of what I was asking.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's no real downside for us to give them extra access if they call us up and ask for it. If
They're already gonna be in the system, though, if they've taken the previous.
we would be able to see if they've already had access, that's definite.
But only based on a student email that they've given you, right?
no, it would come from the instructor. And so we our grades are, we house grades in our courses. Only a certain subset of people have access to them in our company. So it would be done, the instructor calling someone in our tech support group. And we're not I don't know, you'll tell us.
We have a fairly robust, again, this is math, a fairly robust failure population. Most other people, it's just automatic. Like if you're adopting the same book, it didn't matter whether you passed or failed or whatever. It just if you're tied to an account that already had that, you automatically get it again, and there's just no question asked because again, it's back to well, why would you? But I have no incentive as long as I've had it in the past. But they're able to go in and look and see, and so they don't have to have any kind of discussion about grade. It's just you purchase this, now you want it again, you may have it.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it boils down to, but the way we explained it is different. We're basically putting, a promise of a hope of better results.
Right. If you need it again, it'll be there.
And it won't have to pay a fee again to access it for a product that's not a multi-term product. This is typically a one-term product.
Right.
And I assume that's how it would be purchased. If it's purchased for multi-terms on the front end, no problems either way. But yeah, even down to the temporary access, as Corey kind of alluded to, like the story that we told about the military, that was a one-off and a trust thing that we just did. We're not going to overthink it too much. We're going to do it. But I understand that there's bigger implications here, and that if you all need any kind of formal clarification on that side of what we're talking about, we'll be glad to provide it in writing.
Sure. Those are all really good questions. Excellent. I think that's it for me. I think I've covered everything. But if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to take them. Great. I will.
Is anyone web conferencing? Do people ask questions to that? Or
No. Okay. They just have the ability.
Their questions won't pick up.
Awesome. Well, this is my email address. If you guys need anything at all, I'm happy to put you in contact with the right people. If I can't answer it, I will definitely get an answer for you or put you in contact with the people that need to be there to answer that.
Should we leave contact information with you all, or you have it, or
We'll send it out to everybody.
Sure. It's on the slides.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
But yeah, email is a great way to get in touch with us. Again, thank you everybody. I hope that you guys make it home all right. Don't have any too much trouble. But thanks. I know a lot of you guys are math, so thank you again for. I told Nate, I was like, I'm visually preparing myself to like just have people with their phones because they're like, this doesn't apply to me at all. So y'all were great. Thank you for engaging and being attentive.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
thanks
for your
again,
time
guys.
and consideration. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.